This is Carl Harvey Greenblatt, better known as C.H. Greenblatt. You may or may not recognize the face or the name, but you've more than likely seen some of his work. Carl had a hand in writing a lot of people's childhoods. He was a storyboard artist and writer for the first few seasons of SpongeBob, including some of the most universally loved episodes. He worked on episodes of Billy and Mandy and various other shows, but eventually, Carl would go on to create his very own. His own creations include the semi-recent Jellystone, the Slice of Life Harvey Beaks, and most important of all, he was the creator of the Cartoon Network classic, Chowder. Chowder was a wacky, episodic comedy about a chubby little, cat, bear, rabbit thing learned to become a master chef under the apprentice of Captain Murdoch from the A-Team. Also in there's a rock guy named Schnitzel and an ear infection in cartoon form. Also part of the cast are his two friends, a rat with gangrene and a pink rabbit demanding children on the spot. There's also a giant Oompa Loompa woman, and also Master Shake is there.
My ma'am, what's new? Why don't you help me suck it?
That's the main cast, and the rest is a ton of wacky, zany characters guaranteed to give your children sleep paralysis demons. The show is extremely absurd and incredibly creative. Nothing makes any damn sense, but it doesn't have to, because it's here to do one thing: to make you laugh. This is one of my favorite cartoons, period. Not sure if it's number one, but it's definitely top 3. It shows off the creativity and passion for animation as an art form. It has so many different art styles and creative ideas, you can't not appreciate it for that, at least. It definitely influenced by humor in some way, and I can always thank it for that. You can catch in a few of my videos, I've put clips from the show in some of them. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Not just Chowder, C.H. Greenblatt himself influenced by humor in some way. This man is an icon to me. I have taken so much inspiration from him in his work. I look up to this man so much, I even took inspiration from his hairline. It doesn't matter how good the show is, though, because it only lasted about 3 years and 3 seasons before it was prematurely killed off to make way for Andrew W.K. blowing shit up. When it comes to the internet, Chowder's influence wasn't really anything major, but he always snuck his way in some shape or form. You know the over 9,000 meme? That old school internet meme that was everywhere for a time? Used in hundreds of YouTube poops and all around the web? Well, the uploader of the original clip on YouTube, all the way back in 2008, his username was Chowder Rocks. Absolutely nothing to do with the show, but he snuck his way in anyway. When it comes to current year internet culture, it's regarded as a classic that was killed off too soon. You got various art pieces, or TikTok memes and sounds, and very rarely do you get a video essay on it. Because there isn't really much to analyze. Most of them just talk about how funny or how crazy and creative the show is. It's a slapstick comedy. What is there to analyze? There's no way someone out there would be dumb enough to actually try and seriously analyze this slapstick comedy cartoon that makes no sense, right? If you use YouTube semi-frequently, you're no doubt aware of what a video essay is, or have a vague idea of what they are. Video essays can range from 10 minutes to 10 hours. It doesn't take much to see not every video essay is built the same. It all comes down to the person making it and the passion they have for the thing they're talking about. There are some video essays that are absurdly bad. There's tons of them out there, with tons of bad takes to boot. But to save on time and sanity, I've gone and put them into 3 different categories. First, there's the grifter. The grifter is the most low-effort video essay. It's usually made on a hot topic movie or show, appealing to a demographic of your choice with as many buzzwords as humanly possible while talking about them. It's whatever is the current thing and how many people are willing to click on the video to see current thing talked about. It's the fast food of video essays. It's what's there, and once it's over, you'll likely never think about it again. You can find these video essays all over basically any property Disney owns and what new films they're churning out. Next up, we have the Pretentious. This type of video essay is the exact opposite from the grifter. As instead of someone who's only really analyzing something because it's hot and will get clicks, this one seeks to overanalyze the living hell out of something and make connections to the real world that may or may not be there. But not only that, in a lot of cases, this is where the video creator gets on a soapbox and starts talking to the people watching like they're a fucking dog. I'm not a fan of videos where the creator acts like they're better than me and I need to get on their level. And finally, there's the actually interesting category. This is the rarest of the bunch, where the video essayist actually has an interesting theory or analysis of something that may make you look at the topic in a completely different way, And usually, they aren't too up their own ass about it. I enjoy content creators who don't take themselves too seriously and are actually informative in the process. Those are the big three in my opinion. Maybe some more could be made, maybe some crossover could happen, but that's how I could put it in the simplest of terms. Now, I too love putting on video essays in the background, the good ones at least, most of them gaming related, that's just due to my personal bias. But maybe you enjoy different types of media and I get that. However, I want to go back to the pretentious section and talk about something that I've noticed. Now, you know, people want to talk about serious topics and issues that are in the real world, and they use the entertainment medium, and if they want to do that, I have no issue. It's not my cup of tea, but others are free to do so. There is a time and a place for everything. But these video essays that want to speak to the world about important social issues and morality, for some reason, they are the most common when looking up any sort of video essays on animation. They really like to pop up when it comes to animation targeted towards families and children. If it were more mature shows, I would get. But there are way too many of these for kids shows. You've likely seen a couple of these pop up in your recommended, with these absolutely absurd thumbnails. Like, do you think little Timmy knows what any of this means? And that's not to say that kids media can't handle adult topics. Of course they can. Plenty have done in the past. But that doesn't mean every piece of kids media is meant to handle adult topics. In some cartoons, there isn't meant to be a moral or a lesson to be learned. Just looking at some of these thumbnails, they speak for themselves. But we're not here for thumbnail critique. We're here to look at one that embodies everything wrong with these types of video essays. Oh wow, the video's chowder related, who'da thunk it? Yeah, it seems like kind of a random pick, doesn't it? It's a popular video, it's got like 900,000 views, fairly well received, about chowder of all things, and it's fairly short. What's the issue? Well, you would not believe the rabbit hole I've fallen down after viewing it. I implore you, stick around until the very end, and you'll see why. I've dragged this intro out long enough. Let's get into this. Now just a heads up, I'm going to be viewing this vid in a non-linear fashion, instead of just a straight shot from start to finish, because spoiler alert, this isn't my first time viewing it, so I think this would be a better way to look at it. Alright, enough dilly-dallying, let's watch this sucker.
Who doesn't love chowder? Seriously, I feel like anyone not repping this show are either people who haven't seen it or bitter-ass gumball stands.
Hey, what do you know? I agree with that. Maybe this won't be so bad after all.
Wait, hold on. Could this be problematic?
You raised my hopes and dashed them quite expertly, sir. Bravo!
So, we're gonna watch this, grown man roast a relationship between two 10-year-old cat bear rabbit things. I'm on the edge of my seat. The next minute or so, he basically gives a plot synopsis and a rundown of all the characters. Yeah, a video essay with a plot synopsis. Fork found in the kitchen. Get it? Cause show's about food. After that, we get to the real meat of the video.
See, it's funny because it's extreme and women molesting men is so outrageous it never happens.
It's the thing a lot of people think they're extremely smart for noticing and pointing out, when everyone has done it at some point. If the roles were reversed, yada yada yada. And I'm not gonna say that there isn't some weight behind complaining about it, but picking this show in particular, there's also an edit component to this. Do you notice anything about these two characters? Anything at all? Well, not only the fact that they aren't even human, but these are supposed to be children. These two are explicitly young and naive. Not only that, but Carl Greenblatt went out of his way to get child actors for these child characters because in his own words, you can't really replicate the innocence and natural quality of a child. Kids don't know anything. That's why we don't really hold them to the same standards as adults. We never have. You think they understand boundaries or what anything means? No, that comes along as you get older. For some reason though, in his explanation, the language he uses does not really take this into account.
Women molesting men. Now this is one of those double standards that, to the shock of men everywhere, men consistently get portrayed as just being sex obsessed in general. So the idea of women showing aggressive interest in guys is just, oh, it's fine, he probably likes it anyway.
Actually, I'm not quite sure who the audience for this video is. The show's target demographic was 2 to 11, and I doubt that group is watching condescending video essays for it online. But from what it sounds like, it seems like he's maybe talking to his adult audience who grew up with the show and are now looking back on it.
It was funny when we were kids, but we know better now.
Hell, in this video, he actually puts a domestic abuse hotline in here for a bit. The target audience for the show is most definitely not calling this. You know, this video has 900,000 views. Do you think a single one of those 900,000 people actually called this number through this video? So yeah, he compares her to Pepe Le Pew, and then goes on this tangent.
It's only been in recent years in the wake of the Me Too movement that we as a society have realized that just like blackface, that mocking victims and making light of an issue that is still a problem today isn't a great move.
Well, if there was any doubt that this video didn't count as pretentious, there's that soapbox I was talking about. That holier-than-thou attitude, it all fits the quota.
So by changing the situation to where women are the thirsty party, it's considered a reversal of this stereotype, making it funny for some reason.
And like, do you see it? Do you finally see one of the biggest issues with using kids' media to prop up these social issues? Listen to the seriousness of the topic he's discussing, and this is the footage you're choosing to show me? These cartoon gremlins with goofy faces and shit? It doesn't fit! I can't take this talk seriously. I'm too busy looking at the rock monster with his teeth pointing in 5 different directions. You know what? Here, let me pick a more fitting scene from the show for this.
If a male teacher sleeps with a female student, the parents will want him tarred and feathered. A female teacher does it, the dad may crack a joke about the only damage to his son being all the high five he's getting around school. And if you want examples of this shit, look no further than Family Guy. Quagmire.
Okay, who the hell made this? I avoided talking about the creator until now for 2 reasons. 1, I wanted to get the atmosphere just right to give you an idea of what we're working with before we officially start picking at this dude's brain. And 2, I didn't know much about this guy until I started making this video. He's got over 500,000 subs, a fairly big channel, but I don't really hear much about him, and that's a little strange. So I did some exploring. So looking at his channel, he's a cartoon YouTuber, usually looking at, reviewing, and analyzing all the hot new cartoons and anime films that have come out. You've maybe seen one of his videos pop up in your recommended, that you may or may not have clicked on at least once with the obvious rage bait titles and thumbnails. Man, he's gotten a hold of that thumbnail metagame. I'm all about that hustle. Looking more into it, it's become obvious he's heavily involved within the Has Been a Hell of a Boss fan scene. Oh, that makes sense. I don't watch VivziePop stuff, so that probably explains why I don't hear much about this guy. Sorry, my friends. I only watch Peak.
I never had no next of kin. Just a few hundred teeth.
He is also really involved in shipping culture as well, which I'm also not a part of, so this is all starting to make sense. I don't need to explain shipping culture, do I? The fandom hobby of any series which involves the romantic pairing between characters? You all know what that is, right? You ever look at the South Park tag on Twitter? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Shipping has been a part of the internet and fandoms for as long as they've existed. You could find Sonic and Amy OVAs on YouTube since its inception. It's a scene that is largely dominated by women. I mean, there's exceptions to the rule, but shipping culture, being mostly women, is one of those open secrets everyone knows but nobody talks about. So to all those exceptions to the rule, I give a salute to you, soldier. Chorus himself is one of those exceptions to the rule. And I can tell it's a big cornerstone of his channel, with stuff like a 3-hour total drama shipping analysis.
3 hours!
I'm just gonna say it, I have never met a male shipper that is not on the spectrum. I have still never met a male shipper that is not on the spectrum. They probably exist, but I've never seen one. A lot of people in the shipping scene are typically autistic or neurodivergent in some way, and so that means these are my people. But Mush, you're autistic. Are you interested in shipping? Well, you're gonna have to get back to me on that one. I'm still grinding the tutorial area. Yeah, I'm not a part of the shipping scene, but the entire culture intrigues me to an extent. So from time to time, I like to peer over and see what's going on, because no matter what, it's going to be entertaining in some way. Shipping autism is one of the most potent hyperfixations I've seen online. If someone finds a pairing they love to pieces, they'll be drawing art and creating fanfiction of that pairing for the next 7 years. Hell, it can get to the point where it turns into this. Okay, yeah, that's an extreme example, but I want you to fully understand. For the most part, it's just harmless fun. Girls just want to have fun, you know? That was the point of this hobby in the first place, to have fun.
If it's not fun, why bother?
Shipping is also not your ordinary hobby hyperfixation, as it's also very competitive. There's another side of shipping where people take this shit super seriously. They'll analyze everything under a microscope to create the mathematic formula if it could work or not, and if you don't agree, that's when the infighting starts. There's all sorts of labels they throw at each other and stuff I'd rather save for a future video, but the thing is, sometimes, shipping stops being fun depending on who you interact with and how seriously they take it. I'm sorry for that tangent, but I promise you this will all be relevant soon enough. Sarcastic Course, from everything I've seen, and a couple of videos I've watched from him, definitely takes shipping culture super seriously. All of his most popular videos revolve around him analyzing pairings and shows that are serialized, with ongoing plots, and they always have some semblance of romance in them. They also have a lot of progressive themes, and themes meant to be taken seriously, and where there's romance, there's drama. It's inevitable. Chowder, as a show, is the antithesis of everything his channel is known for. It's not a serialized soap opera, it's an episodic, slapstick comedy where absolutely nothing is taken seriously and nothing develops, ever. Legit, one of the laws of the show was Carl Greenblatt saying, "If it's funny, we can do it." It's not about tugging at your heartstrings or making you think about its themes, it's about making you laugh. Sometimes, there is no moral or lesson to be taken. Sometimes, entertainment is just entertainment. Now, if I had no interest in shipping culture, then why did I click on this video in the first place? Well, really. I'll consume any chowder content you throw at me, shove that shit right in my gullet. I'm not getting new episodes, so this is all I got. And now, it seems I'm creating my own chowder content. Go figure. Okay, now we're getting back to the video. But before we do that, since we know what this guy is all about, I gotta set the mood. Okay, I'm ready. I'm not even going to address the fact that he just brought Quagmire up. That's too stupid to even be acknowledged. So, humor is subjective. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about the art of humor or some crap or try to tell you why something is funny. Shiny Crab's Chowder video does a better job at that. I am not a humor expert, and neither is Sarcastic Course. His forte is shipping analysis, not comedy analysis, and you can definitely tell in this video. He knows he can't get away with just the "I'm a good person and good people don't laugh at this" argument. So he attempts to explain throughout the video that the joke isn't funny because it's the same thing over and over again.
It was an unfunny joke that needed to be either toned down or have the characters expand upon. But this being a comedy and episodic really just worked against it.
Which would be a great argument if he would show it. Yeah, a few times he tells us it's very repetitive, but we never get to see an uncut, unedited example of this supposed repetitive joke. We just gotta take his word for it.
And it's all done for the sake of a joke. That was moderately funny once, but it's the same thing every single time.
That's it?
No.
The only few clips without this guy talking over them we get, he's cut the scene or joke in half. Oh, this famous hand-holding scene. Oh, people love this scene. It has like 9 million views on TikTok. And what does he do? He cuts the damn joke in half to make it look like it's not funny. Oh, why? So if we can't find this funny because it's laughing at victims, and I can't find it funny because it's a repetitive joke, what am I allowed to find funny?
Not to mention the non-stop hijinks of living on a giant plate and inside a bong.
Yes! Yes! Bong jokes! Of course, I should have known. You know what's a fresh, never been done before joke? Bong jokes and weed culture. Those are untouched territory.
I look at him and I go, yeah, right. What, did you have a bong hit transplant?
And surely there isn't one person in particular who has beaten that joke into the ground and now everyone is sick of it. On a more serious note, if moving on as a society means I'm now supposed to be laughing at bong jokes and Reddit humor, put me out of my misery. But we're not here for a comedy analysis, are we? This is a shipping analysis vid, and well, there's not much to work with. A good chunk of this video is dedicated to this guy taking very obvious throwaway jokes and punchlines seriously as signs of a relationship you're supposed to follow.
And this girl not only doesn't listen, but she has the audacity to say that he's the one being clingy.
That's the joke.
The entire shtick here is Chowder thinks romance is disgusting and girls have cooties, and Panini has plenty of cooties to spare. Chowder hating cooties and girls is something the show makes very apparent.
No way! Girls are icky! At least I'm not a girl!
Are you crying?
No, only girls cry. Men weep.
What does Chorus say about this? Well, the cooties thing is brought up for a nanosecond, and then never again.
And Chowder might just be at the age where he thinks girls have cooties.
The entire reason any of this happens at all, and that's all you get. I'm not gonna sit here and try to debunk what Chorus says about the characters, because in the end, what they do in the fictional world doesn't affect me or anyone, because they don't exist. Carl Greenblatt views the entire show and all of the characters as a way to tell jokes. He's not here to world build or have consistency in the show. It's an episode by episode basis of trying to get a laugh out of the audience.
I never drew to just make art. I drew to make comedy. And I think because I can make comedy on the TV show, I don't feel the need to draw. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I just want to make some funny cartoons, man. I just want some network to actually want to air them.
Chorus isn't trying to analyze this like it's a comedy first. He's trying to analyze this like it's a soap opera. He's looking for something that isn't there. Chorus is basically analyzing the show in a way it was never meant to be analyzed, and then complains when it isn't meeting his criteria, and then he calls it bad writing. Oh, and don't forget, it's also morally wrong. He's essentially treating the characters in a slapstick cartoon like real people. In other words, you can kill a man, but not the idea. Chorus wanted some type of development between these two, and if he did want that, that's on him. That's what he likes. But the show was never about this. Nobody was watching Chowder for the romance or the drama. And if you were, well, what are your opinions on Sonic the Hedgehog?
It really makes you feel bad for Chowder.
No, I don't. I think it's funny. Who the hell are you speaking for? But let's say you are more sympathetic towards fictional characters than I am. Let's say you are a part of his target audience, and I realize some of these characters might mean a lot to some of you. Let's say you really resonate with this video, and possibly may have already seen it. Well, my friends, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but all is not as it seems.
Here's a little lesson in trickery.
This video is obviously made for one specific type of person, those who are heavily into shipping culture and really like to see this stuff under a microscope. And there is a market for video essays that are able to condense that into a consumable video. But the major problem here is, sarcastic Chorus is very heavily opinionated. You can have your own opinions on things, of course, but there's a line you shouldn't cross when your own opinions get in the way of your own analysis and cloud your judgment. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, Panini is a straight-up psycho in some episodes, but that is done for purely humor's sake. Chorus claims that seeing them constantly make psycho jokes will make you internalize it and think she's just like that.
It's pretty much Charlie Brown missing that football. Lucy pulls it away, it's funny that one time, but when you see it happen thousands of times, you start to think that Lucy is an asshole, even though it's just the opening. But you internalize that.
And I swear to God I've seen this exact same mindset somewhere else, and we probably shouldn't listen to it. And in other episodes, she's completely fine. It's an episode by episode basis. My final conclusion? Give the little bitch some chlorpromazine, she'll be fine. I wouldn't be looking at it this way if this man wasn't trying to say that this is all morally wrong to have in a show, but we're not gonna listen to him for right now. And instead, what does the creator have to say on the two? When asked about it, he simply said, Chowder liked Panini but just didn't like her affection towards him. But I liked when she wasn't acting that way, he was happy to be friends with her. This is a complete contrast to what Chorus claims in the video. Hell, if you just watch the video by itself, you would think he hated her guts. And because he hated her guts, that makes all of this morally wrong, and it's not okay to joke about. But you see, that's not actually true. This highlights one of the biggest things about video essays. They can pick and choose exactly what they want you to see. And Chorus has taken full advantage of that. Carl had a hand in basically every single episode of the show. You can find his name in the credits. He had a final say on everything and what he wanted in them. And while yes, the main shtick between the two was, ew cooties, you're crazy.
12 babies? You must be out of your mind, woman!
But sometimes he would take a break from that and put these little moments between the two.
I'm not your boyfriend. What's wrong, Chowder? You seem down.
There's a handful of these sprinkled all throughout the series because, well, Carl wanted them. They're his characters, and he gets to decide what happens to them. Now, how many of these made their way into Chorus's video? 0. Not a 1. A big fat goose egg. Those were Carl's favorite parts, and he has taken the deliberating task to chop every single one out of the video. And of course he knew they were there. Of course he knew. He flat out has footage of these moments in his video, which means he saw the episodes, recorded them, and then put them in his video, but he never mentions them a single time. He just didn't want to tell the people watching they existed, because he wants you to listen to him and what he has picked for you to see.
When they're in a play together, she says, "Fuck you, marry me." Christmas together, Chowder kisses her after she forces it multiple times. A prank goes wrong, she cries about all the dozens of babies she'll never have. And no
Wait a minute, wait. Hold the phone. Go back to that last one.
A prank goes wrong, she cries about all the dozens of babies she'll never have.
Okay, get a load of this. This is from the episode The Prank. In this episode, giant Oompa Loompa woman pulls a prank on Monk and thinks she's accidentally taken his life in the process, and then her and Panini spend the entire episode trying to hide the evidence, which Chowder has eaten. And yes, Panini does run off crying that she doesn't get to have a future with Chowder, but at the end of the episode, you find out the entire episode was a setup. Every single person in the episode was in on the prank except the big lady. That includes... Basically, he has taken this scene completely out of context to paint the character in a negative light. They were acting as friends, they were working together on a prank, and he's taken it and chopped the punchline of the entire episode out. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment. He must think his audience is fucking stupid, like you can't watch the full episode and tell exactly what he's done here. I'm not here to defend the character, or their actions, or to tell you they're actually a great couple. I'm here to tell you, you don't screw with a man's vision like that. You don't analyze a piece of their work and then cut out all their favorite parts because they don't support your argument. It's not only the fact he cut all of Carl's favorite moments out, he flat out says those moments don't even exist.
At no point do these two ever feel like they're ever on the same page.
My brother in Christ, you are literally talking over footage of an episode. That is exactly that.
Maybe we're not that special after all. We both could use some serious cheering up.
And don't forget, this man, just a few minutes earlier, was telling you how good it feels to be morally in the right and what is and isn't okay to laugh about. And now he's lying through his teeth. At this point, there's no reason in looking at the rest of this video, because it's very clear that this analysis is not done in good faith. But there's one more thing to cover here before we're done. So we've already established that this video is disingenuous as hell. There's no real point in listening to the rest of it, so we're going to take a little detour here. The final episode of the show is very strange, even by the show's standards. All the characters are suddenly 20 years older, Chowder is now the master chef, has his own apprentice, and goes down a rabbit hole to pull out 50 children, and you can take a wild guess how our fellow YouTuber here takes it. This finale lives in the back of people's minds due to how out of left field it is. If you watched the show start to finish, you definitely remember it. Why is it like this? Well, there is an explanation as to why this finale is so strange. What you're looking at in this final episode is a compromised vision. You see, I did my homework here and really dug into the deep trenches to get to the bottom of this. You see, back in the day, Carl Greenblatt had a Tumblr blog and his own blogspot, where he would answer various questions, answer art questions, and post art and updates on his work. I've actually already shown this blog a few times in this video, but all of these answers are directly from the man himself. On this blog, Carl revealed that he had a ton of stuff planned for the show, way more than you would think. He had a TV movie about pirates planned, and at the end it was going to showcase the act of spit swapping. However, he ended up shelving the entire thing due to not being satisfied with the end product. That's okay though. If I wanted to watch something with pirates, I could always watch The Goat.
Lying, looting, stealing is the reason I'm a pirate. Ransacking, pillaging, don't knock it till you try it. Plundering and pilfering, make up a healthy diet. Arr, look at me, I'm doing the booty boogie.
But most importantly, he revealed what happened with that finale. Since he started sketching out the show, he had the idea at some point for Chowder to jump into the future where he was now the head chef with his very own apprentice. It's not a thing he mentioned once that he thought would be fun. He mentions it quite a few times on his blog. This is something he was passionate about. I found this interview he did with someone right when the finale was coming out, and you can see in the interview when talking about Chowder and his apprentice, I would have liked to have done more stories with the two of them. They have a great chemistry. He really wanted to do this. And obviously, he didn't get the chance. They took it from him. The show was canceled, and he was basically forced to shove out a finale so they could at least end it in some capacity. It was not supposed to end like this.
It's just like, keep putting my heart into these shows and keep having networks just be like, nah, we don't want it, we're not going to run it, we're going to bury it, no one's going to see it, we hate you, goodbye. And then it's like, all right, well, that was 7 years of my life gone.
No, I don't feel sympathy for Chowder.
He's fat!
I feel sympathy for Carl Greenblatt. For the first time, these were his characters. After working on other people's shows and their characters, he got to decide what happened to them, and he had huge plans. And they took it from him. And then, some condescending video essayist comes in 12 years later to tell you an aspect of your cartoon is morally wrong because you didn't get to do what you wanted. While we're sitting here bitching about the fictional relationships of characters that don't even exist, Carl went through the worst breakup of them all.
It was, and so it was a really kind of like, it was a very emotionally draining breakup. And so I had to kind of distance myself from Chowder for a long time because it hurt. You know, to me, it's like the equivalent of like, you break up with somebody and you still have to live in the house with them. And you still have to see them every day. But then they spit in your coffee every morning and you're like, all right, well, I guess I just have to get through this until I can move out. Like, that's how it feels like, kind of, when you get to the end of the series sometimes. At least it's felt that way for me. It was like...
Yeah. Okay, I think we're done with this video essay. So, some of my regular viewers are probably thinking, this is significantly different compared to my other videos. Oh, you're telling me? Well, there's also a reason for that. You see, I just recently hit the big 200k, and in celebration, I wanted to use this newfound power and get my Gerby mitts on some bad video essays. I was going to make a big video on a few of them, just talk about and laugh at some video essays with some horrendous takes. That was the plan anyway. The grand finale of the video was going to be Lily Orchid's infamous Steven Universe video, which everyone has clowned on in one form or another. I sort of needed to pepper this video with smaller video essays before I got to the main course. Yep, that thumbnail wasn't supposed to be clickbait. I made that before I even started writing the script because I was sure of what I wanted. I wanted to hit my usual 4 topics per video quota, and I needed a throwaway topic. Now, in truth, I had already seen this video of courses when it came out back in 2022 before I started my channel. I think I left a few comments saying it was poorly researched and watched one more vid of his, and that I haven't seen anything else from him since. I was really struggling to find a throwaway topic for the bad video essays vid, but then I remembered, wait, wasn't there a really shitty Chowder video essay a few years ago? And lo and behold, here it is. I started looking into it and writing what was wrong with it, only to dig deeper and deeper and find out what was really going on here, and coming to the realization, this is enough for its own video. Like, my god. And what sucks is, I had already watched the Steven Universe video in full beforehand to take notes and write the script, and in the end, I did it for nothing. Look at that. You see that red bar? That red bar represents the blood it's taken from me. One could say, this wouldn't really count as one of the worst video essays. There are ones that are probably objectively worse. But there are so many layers to what's wrong with this video, you would never even notice if you just watched it casually or hadn't seen the show in a long time, if ever. He acts like he's on your side, until you dig in deeper and find out something isn't right here. Would I say it's on par with the Steven Universe video? It's filled with a lot more deception, that's for sure, but Lily Orchid has way more bad takes. But, as much as I want to say we're not done here. There's a bit more to cover. Not too long after the Chowder video, Sarcastic Chorus made a semi-sequel, talking about the Canker sisters from Ed, Edd and Eddy, which was the only other video I've seen from this guy around the time. Let's go ahead and get this over with. Now, I'm going to keep this brief because this video has already gone on long enough, but I'll give you the shortened version. For those who do and don't know, Ed, Edd and Eddy's dynamic with the Cankers is what he was self-righteous about in the last video, except it's 10 times worse here. I mean, they pin them down and torture them in some episodes, in very specific ways. Oh my, I think someone enjoyed this scene a little too much, and yes, it's played for laughs. Is it funny? Again, it's subjective, but I also love me some Ed, Edd and Eddy, so to me, yes.
I'm a minor, stop!
Now, you would think after the self-circle jerk in the last video about harassment not being funny and how we as a society have moved on, it would be a case of second verse same as the first. But actually, no, you would be wrong. In fact, it's the total opposite. He loves it.
But the Canker sisters, despite being just as one-dimensional, work here, because the show actually remembers one important fact, and no, this isn't the nostalgia talking.
Now, how in the hell does this work? Well, let me essentially break down his argument in the video. Basically, the argument he uses boils down to the fact that the Cankers are pure villains and it's not meant to be an actual relationship, and that the main characters are also awful people, so therefore the harassment is justified and therefore funny. Okay, so I have just like a simple question to that, just a little hypothetical. What in the hell does that matter to me? What does that matter to most people? You said it wasn't funny to laugh at victims because it was morally wrong.
We as a society have realized that just like blackface, that mocking victims and making light of an issue that is still a problem today isn't a great move.
I thought the point of the last video was to bring awareness to the fact that people found one sound funny and calling it out. But actually, no, it's not about that. In fact, that double standard he claimed to care so much about in the Chowder video is hardly mentioned here. The most you get is this.
I don't think the Cankers aren't harassing the Eds, or that this behavior is okay. Women harassing men should be taken just as seriously as men harassing women.
Oh yeah, harassment is bad or whatever, I guess. In fact, you remember in that video how we kept bringing up and showing Pepe Le Pew? Well, in this one, Pepe is suspiciously absent. He is never brought up or shown once. Also, remember the hotline he brought up? There's nothing like that in this video either. Not a domestic abuse or a bullying hotline, nothing. Pete Cartoon Rabbit harassing you? Of course it's got you covered. Trailer park trash that can actually exist in the real world? You're out of luck, pal. Man, for being such an advocate, he sure did drop those like a hot rock, didn't he? This brings into question, did he even care about the topics he was talking about in that video? Or did he only care when it was convenient for him?
With this show being as slapstick heavy as it is, nothing it ever does feels too real.
So, this show never feels too real, huh? Of course, could you kindly tell us more about the banana ball from Chowder again?
Only for its real mother to show up. And it can talk now.
Mother, is that you?
I was absolutely gobsmacked by the revelation this dude did a complete 180. It didn't make much sense. But then, I started listening more to the type of wording he was using.
All the while, she's just smiling like this is an actual relationship, and that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I never get the vibe that this is an actual romantic interest. This is never an actual option that's on the table. The show never treats them like it's an actual relationship.
Looking back and forth between the two videos, looking at his channel and what his interests were, it all suddenly clicked. The fact Chowder and Panini got together at the end, that is all he cared about. That's why he lied. That's why he took things out of context. That's why he cut out all of Carl Greenblatt's favorite parts. He's dolled the video up to make it look like he's talking about real-life social issues for brownie points, but in reality, this was nothing more than a petty shipping grudge. The stuff about harassment not being funny, he didn't mean a word of it. What he meant to say was, harassment is funny if it meets my very specific standards. He didn't like the end result, and really, that takes priority over everything. If he just wanted to say he didn't like the character or the fact they got together, but I wouldn't have cared in the slightest. But the lying, and then claiming to be morally in the right, that is unacceptable. Not just to the randos who clicked on it like me, but to your fans and the people who watch over this kind of stuff and look up to you. Having to do that in the first place is a self-admission. Why would you have to do any of this if you actually believed what you were saying? And to this day, he's still bringing up Panini time to time in his newer videos and still keeping the facade up. Oh, look, there's Pepe Le Pew again. I wonder where he went to. Well, it's not a facade anymore. I saw right through it. And yes, there is a good possibility this was all just rage bait to get clicks, or he just wanted to be a contrarian. But, if you're gonna talk about important social issues and then completely drop them, that just tells me they're disposable to you. I don't watch this guy's stuff at all, and I think that's definitely not changing after this. Also, it seems during the making of this video, he's dropping all VivziePop content. Well, if all of your video essays are like these, good luck. At the end of all of this can all be summed up in one sentence. That's the power of shipping autism, baby! Well, when it comes to talking about this type of humor, it's still brought up from time to time on what is socially acceptable to joke about. Remember when Joker 2 came out? Remember all the jokes people were making about that?
Batman Revenge the Joker! Batman Return of the Joker!
If you don't like this type of humor, or don't like it when it leads to a fictional relationship, that's fine. That's on you. But Jesus Christ, don't sit there and try some shifty tactics in an attempt to justify it. All you had to do was say, I don't like that these two got together. And there! What the hell was so hard about that? What was the point of all this? Chowder, as a show, is 17 years old. It has not had a new episode in almost 15 years, and Carl Greenblatt had huge plans to take it to the next level. But they took his opportunity away from him, and that sucks. It's regarded as a Cartoon Network classic. Go and watch it, and make your own judgments. Because clearly, the only person's opinion that matters the most is your very own. God bless, like and subscribe, and good night. And remember, my friends, what matters most is not who is on screen, but instead who is behind it. Remember that.
It felt like I put my heart and my soul into the show and people didn't dig it and the network didn't want it, and so it felt like a big failure to me. And so it's really surreal to see the love for it. It's very heartening and it makes me happy.
I got no family tree. Just a bush, a twig, a branch, a sapling, that's me. I've got no family tree.